Engineering, I can do the math and everything, but I am not like a handyman around the house. I'm not a tinkerer. I don't look back and regret things because, that at the time I did what I thought was best and some of them were dumb. I like to feel like I'm going fast. And so like 5K, you can kind of go all out because it's only 3 miles. And one night I woke up with a rat on my chest. Sports books are evil. I mean, these people, they're a scourge on society.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Retrofit Radio. Joining us today is David Wortman. David, we like to pass the mic straight to our guests so they can introduce themselves.
All right. My name is David Wortman. I am the Deputy Director for the Office of Community Assistance here at the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. Long title.
Yes, sir. Okay, so why don't you walk me through how you came to be at this position?
Boy, that's, I'm old now, so it's a long story. So I started off in municipal engineering. I graduated from University of Illinois Engineering, and my first real job after college was as an engineer for the city of Effingham, which is my hometown. And I worked primarily on like water and sewer projects. Um, but while I was doing that, in school, you don't find out, you learn things about yourself after school. And I found out that I was good at talking with citizens. And anytime someone was mad, I was often the person that the city would send out to talk to them. And so uh, that experience at the city of Effingham made me realize that I wasn't so much, I didn't really like the technical aspects of engineering. I really liked, talking with people. I liked dealing with the city council, elected officials, and things. So eventually, I knew at that point that at some point I wanted to get a uh, a job as kind of a program manager or public works or director or something like that. And it took me a few years, but eventually I did. I went back to school and got a master's in public affairs, uh, similar to public administration. And then in my next kind of big full-time job, I became the public works director for the city of Mattoon, Illinois, not too far from Effingham. And so for a little under 8 years, I managed the public works office in Mattoon, and that was over the streets and water, sewer departments and cemetery and lakes and parks and all that. So I got a lot of experience doing those types of things and working with managing staff and things like that. So eventually, while at the city of Mattoon, um, I worked on a large federal project called FutureGen, which was designed to be a next generation power plant that burned coal, but caught
Interesting.
the carbon dioxide off of the coal and injected it underground. Anyway, that project ended up bringing me to Springfield.
Hmm.
And then while I was in Springfield, I worked for about 5 years on the FutureGen project that was moved to Morgan County. And so I worked on that until the Department of Energy canceled the project. And then after they canceled the project, I was at an engineering firm, a private engineering firm, but I wanted to get back to managing a program rather than doing technical engineering stuff. So I ended up at DCEO here at the Department of Commerce managing a different office. And I worked there for like 4 years. And then there was a change in staff here at the Office of Community Assistance, and I was asked to manage two offices for a few months. And then eventually the director's office here at DCEO asked me, which do two or too many, which would you want to do? And so um, I was able to jump over to the Office of Community Assistance, where this office manages weatherization, but also LIHEAP, the Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program, and Community Service Block Grant Program. So for the last 6 years, I have been managing that office that does weatherization and those other two programs. And so it's been kind of strange to go from like straight up engineering to managing a social service programs essentially. But I love it here. I love our programs. I love the staff that we have here at DCEO. I love the network. I feel like I'm in my heart, I'm a do-gooder, and I'm surrounded by people who are the same that want to help people. While we're doing it with weatherization, you're also checking off a couple of other boxes where it helps the environment, it lowers cost for people. So it's just been an ideal job that I absolutely love my job here.
Yeah. What's your favorite part about your job?
You know, um, I don't know. I really like managing people. I like the staff that I get to work with. I like everyone knows I'm an engineer, so I like numbers. And this gives me an opportunity to do number crunching and analysis, but then turn that into policy, to public policy. So we get to make policy decisions. So I like that. I really enjoy working with ICA and Roger and his team at ICA and figuring out ways that we can change some of the policies that we have here at the state to make things easier and better for the agencies. And so I don't know, my favorite part of the job, I don't know. I really do love numbers, so I like crunching numbers and then giving presentations on what it means, and what we could do to improve some of our, production or the equity, like how we serve, and how we're doing that statewide. So there's really a lot that I like about, the the job here, and it's just I feel very lucky to have ended up like I kind of stumbled in here, but ended up here at this position.
So, what first made you interested in engineering?
Well, my dad was a U of I engineering grad, and so I suppose that is probably why. Um, my dad owned a construction company in Effingham, and so I grew up knowing about the U of I program and all that. But I think, and this may sound bad, but it's the relationship that we had, and it was great. My dad was great, but I don't think he thought I could get through U of I engineering, and
You
he
had to
kind of let
prove
me know that.
yourself.
Yeah, and I think if you saw my high school grades, there was probably some reason for him to believe that I might not be able to make it through. But so it was kind of a challenge for me. But I have to say, I'm not like a lot of engineers like tinkering and aren't they're not in trades, but they have that kind of mind. And I can like the engineering, I can do the math and everything, but I am not like a handyman around the house. I'm not a tinkerer. So um that and I think like with me not preferring to do like the program management and office stuff, that was part of the reason that I kind of when I started in engineering, I quickly found out that I didn't really like all the technical aspects of engineering as much as I liked doing kind of the long-term planning and working with the elected officials and things like that. So I think I went through engineering because my dad and that process, but it it in but I like the management part more than the technical.
Yeah. See, I do have some background info on you from an informant.
Okay.
So you come from a rather large family, don't you?
Yes,
Is that
yes. I
right?
am the eighth of nine children. I'm the seventh son of my parents. So eight boys and one girl. So I was like the second last of eight boys. So uh, we grew up out in the country. I outside of Effingham. There were years that we didn't have TV, that I just played in like out in the woods and in the by the river and things. And so and we always had animals around, and so I grew up yeah, it was a different time as well. Huge families. When I was a kid in Effingham there. It's Catholic. I went to a Catholic school, and there were families with 16 kids. So us having 9 was not like a big deal until you move out of that area. You start talking to other people, and you're like, "You're one of 9?" But yeah, I grew up with a lot of siblings around.
So, as you were growing up, did you have experience with your dad's construction business or not really?
No, no. So Effingham has 2 interstates cross in Effingham. So Effingham's a pretty small town, but it's always had a lot of activity because of the interstates. Every one of all 9 of my siblings, we all worked gas stations. I was a yeah, worked the cashier at a gas station from the
Hmm.
time I was probably 15 until 21. So yeah, uh, and my dad, this jumping around, but I did Peace Corps, and we can talk about that in a bit. But when I came back from Peace Corps, uh, there was about an 8-month period before I went back to college, and so and I was already a professional engineer by that point. So I worked one summer at my dad's company, but he had 9 kids. None of us ever really that was the only time any of us ever worked for him. So he really wanted us he thought people should make it on their own, and he wasn't going to turn over his company. I mean, he if one of his kids had really gone into that in that way, he would have accepted it, but he never like pressured us or even asked us. Like he really wanted us to get out and do things on our own.
Hmm. So, you mentioned this, and this was a question I want to talk to you about. Can you tell me about your time in the Peace Corps? What inspired you to go do that?
You know, when I was at U of I, on one of the career days, I saw a Peace Corps. And when I was a kid growing up in the 70s, Peace Corps used to advertise on TV. And I haven't seen that lately. I don't see Peace Corps advertisements, but they
No.
used to have this advertisement where they showed this a guy in a pond out in Africa throwing a net, and they said, teach a man to fish, he'll eat for it, or give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day, teach him fish. So they used that adage, and then they ended it with Peace Corps, it's the toughest job you'll ever love. And so I just throughout childhood I always knew about Peace Corps. And then at U of I, at one of the career days, there was a booth, and I stopped by and I got the application, and I didn't fill it out when I was in college. I graduated. I went to work for Effingham, and I was there for 4.5 years. I was just kind of bored. Come back to my hometown. I had a good job, but I wasn't married. I was living in an apartment. And I'm like, this. I'd kind of like to do something different. And so eventually, I filled out the application. It's a pretty simple process. I remember going up to Chicago to do an in-person interview, and then like 9 months later, I was offered a volunteer position in the Dominican Republic because I was an engineer. Um, a lot of times with Peace Corps, you don't get to pick where you want to go, but they don't get a lot of engineers that apply. They
Right.
probably get more English majors than engineer majors. And so um, I said that I wanted to go somewhere Spanish speaking, and I wanted to do a water project
All right. Do
because
you
I,
speak Spanish?
not at the time, I do now. But when no, I had taken 2 years in high school and knew nothing. I knew like
Hmm.
like cerveza, and that was about it. But so the I had filled out the application, find out I'm going to the Dominican Republic. I immediately this was I mean, even at the time, I should have known this, but I didn't know exactly where it was. I look it up and find out all the baseball players. Like my favorite player ever, Joaquin Andujar, pitcher for the Cardinals. He was from the
Hmm.
Dominican. So learned a little bit about that. But then in when was it? July, I think July of '97 was when I flew to Miami and met with 47 other volunteers. And the next day, they fly us into Santo Domingo, the capital of the Dominican. And that night, I'm housed with a family that didn't speak English, that only spoke Spanish. And I'd taken 2 years of Spanish but didn't know any. So for the next Peace Corps, you have 3 months of training, and they kind of look at each person and see what does this person need to know. and mine was Spanish. The engineering wasn't as hard as the Spanish part. So for 3 months, I did 8 hours a day of Spanish at school, and then would come home to the house and speak Spanish with the families. I learned that, and then after 3 months, they send you out to your site. That's my site.
Awesome.
So I was in the southwest part, so about, I don't know, 15, 20 miles from the Haitian border and the southern part of the Dominican Republic, up on the side of a mountain, with a village that didn't have any electricity, no running water. That's why I was there. So they had latrines. And so that for the next 18 months, I worked with 5 small communities and built a gravity flow water system that brought water to 1,500 people. So it was a mountain spring that we built a spring box around the spring, and built a system of tubes, tanks, and llaves, water taps, for people, the local, to get water. And prior to that, they had been doing like what you see on TV, where the women would walk to this little spring, where animals were getting, it was all messy, and they would dip water out of the spring and carry a 5-gallon bucket on their head and a gallon in each hand. So that's like 40, like 55 pounds, and they would walk back a half a mile like that. And that's the way they were getting water before our system. Our system had public taps, but no one had to walk more than, like, 50 feet to get clean water that didn't have the bacteria in it. So it was a very successful project, and just an amazing. It was a great experience for me. I love my time at Peace Corps.
Yeah, and you guys did, like, public health, not a survey, but, like,
Yeah.
results,
So
right?
right before you start the project, Peace Corps, and this really is to kind of integrate you into the community as well. The idea of Peace Corps, and I actually use this kind of thing here in my job. They want you to, like, move in and kind of go slow, because you need to meet the community, understand the community before you start trying to, like, come in and say that you have all these ideas of the way that they should be
Right.
doing things.
Yeah.
So that starts with what they call a health survey, community health survey. So I went around to every house and asked, how many people live here, how many children, what are the ages, and then you ask health questions like, have you been sick? Have you had grippe, flu? Have you had, a cold? Have the children had diarrhea? So you do the health survey before, then you implement the project, and then after, so the project took about 18 months, and then I stayed another 6 months. And during that time, I ran around the country looking for sites for the next wave of volunteers. So that gave time for the water system to show results. And so, like, the last month that I was there, I went back to my site and did that community health survey again. And the health of the community had improved. There were noticeable improvements, like the percentage of children that had had diarrhea in the previous 6 months. It went from, like, I don't remember the numbers exactly, but like 70% of the kids had had diarrhea prior, and only like 5% after the uh, the water system was available. So yeah, and
Wow.
you could actually tell the difference. The babies, they had. Uh, when I got there, they would have like the distended bellies that you see, like, if TV when they're trying to, make you feel bad and send money. They had that kind of what it looked like, and the kids were dirtier, um, and it's because it was so difficult to get the water. They didn't have as much, and the women had all this time invested in doing it. Now they had water right outside their house, and they were able to have clean water to give the kids, so they weren't drinking bad water. But then they also had time to, just clean them up, and to keep the kids in better shape. So it was, there was a serious, like, there was a noticeable difference in the community uh, before and after the water system. Just in that, in the 6 months that it had been in place, um, things looked different.
Yeah. So what did you get to bring with you?
Clothes.
Is that it? Just like a suitcase, like a
Yeah,
carry-on, or like
I brought a lot of books, and but like where I lived, other volunteers, if you live in the city or stuff, I remember mothers would want to send care packages to their kids, and I told mom, no, don't send me anything because I live in this, and so the house that I lived in, I slept under a mosquito net. And we were up at elevation, and there wasn't much water around, so there weren't any mosquitoes. But it was to keep the rats out, the rats off of me. So my mom sent me a care package that had some cookies, and I'm like, oh, this, I'm gonna have to do. So I put the cookies in under the mosquito net with me, and I slept with the cookies. And one night, I woke up with a rat on my chest who had smelled the cookies and chewed through the mosquito net and was trying to get the cookies, but I woke up with a
my
rat on my
God.
chest. So then I put the cookies outside of the mosquito net. Decided that they could have the cookies. I would stay under the net. So yeah, the house that I slept in, I would set rat traps, and I'd be like sleep in the middle of the night, and I'd hear the and know that I got another rat. So
Oh my goodness.
yeah.
Um, you met your wife in the Dominican Republic, is that correct?
Yes, my wife Nati, she works for the state now, and she uses her paper name, so it's Rosario Wortman. She's the statewide director for Migrant and Seasonal Head Start here in Illinois. But when I met her, so I was up in the mountains, but the nearest town is a little town called El Cercado, and El Cercado, there was a Catholic church there that was, and the diocese was funding the materials for the water project. So I would go down every week or so and fill out like the materials that we would need. And Natty had just she had finished law school and was working in El Cercado as something like what essentially here would be a district attorney. So she was working for the municipality in the court system there. And so we met as I was coming down and going to the church there to fill out the request for materials. We met in El Cercado. That was in early '98, and then in June of '99, we got married there in the Catholic Church in El Cercado. And it was really a thing that we had been dating for about a year, and the timing, Peace Corps timing sped. Like we had to make a decision because I was going back to the U.S. and if she was going to be able to, come back, we had to make a decision. So in early '99, we got engaged and got married in June.
It's a really nice story. Do you have a favorite memory, from your Peace Corps time?
Uh, you know, yeah, there were so many things. I mean, I remember the kids, I had my parents after I'd been there about 6 months, my parents brought down a solar panel, and I would charge a little car battery. So I had a radio and a single light bulb at night. And so all the kids would come to my house at night because that was the only light and so I would have 20 kids in my house at night. So I remember being around all the kids. That was always fun. Um, I remember we had a what they call an inauguration of the system where the bishop came and the bishop blessed the system. I remember at that inauguration, whatever they call it. I don't know the word in English. I guess we might say inauguration. But anyway, one of the elders stood up and said, "Y ahora tenemos agua gracias a Dios y David," which is, and now we have water thanks to God and David. That was pretty good.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's good.
Um, so another personal interest of yours is running, right?
Hmm.
Could you talk to me about, just your running?
This right here is a bib from the Illinois Half Marathon that was just Saturday. I ran with my daughter, And so I've been running for 45 years. I started in sophomore year of high school, and I've really never stopped. Although I should, during Peace Corps, I stopped because I was living on the side of a mountain. It was really hard to run, and I really wasn't getting enough food. So I didn't run for those 2 years. But other than that, I've run for 45 years. And it just, I I can't imagine not running. If I go 2 or 3 days without running, I get grumpy and I don't like it. So I've run for a long time, um, and I've never been really fast. Well, I pay a lot of attention to running and how fast people can run. Like just this last weekend, a person for the first time in history ran a marathon in under
Yeah,
2 hours.
I saw that. That was
Right.
incredible.
Right. I mean, it's insane. The guy, his 24th mile, he ran 4:12 a mile. A
I
4:12
couldn't
mile.
do that for
No, I've
20
never run.
feet, I don't
Right.
think.
Right. I've never run a sub 5 minute mile. So I know times and I've never been, but here's the thing. I know my body so well, and I've been doing it so long that I've kept myself in better shape than most people my age. So now, as I've gotten older, I can like win my age group because I'm like still in shape and still doing things.
Mhm.
So yeah, so at the Illinois half, I won the age group for the 55 to
That's
59-year old.
awesome.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a perfect day to run, and I love running in Champaign. You finish on the 50-yard line of the football stadium.
Oh, that's
So,
so cool.
yeah, it was really fun.
How'd you get your start in running?
Uh, you know, I don't know. It was in high school. I don't know why I signed up. My sophomore year, I guess I had run track where I ran a mile, and in grade school, and I was okay. And my high school team wasn't very good. Um, But I went out for the cross country team, and I can remember like as I was going out, the coach said, "Okay, we're going to run from the high school to the mall and back." I'm like, "You're crazy. It was only like a mile and a half." And looking now, I mean, I run like 15 miles on a weekend, and but then it seems so long. But you just start doing it, and the thing, um, it just becomes for me like everyone can run. Like the human body's made to run, and so you just it everyone's pace is different because everyone has a different aerobic capacity and all this and that, but there's a pace at which you can run that it really becomes it's not hard, it's just time, and it's like calming your brain down. So I use it to like it's like zen for me. It's like meditation, like, and so if you can just calm your brain and find the pace that you can run at and not get tired, then everyone should run. I'm just I'm a huge I love running. That being said, neither of my kids like to run. My daughter did the half on Saturday with me, but
Mhm.
and I think she'll keep running. Neither of them they they will do it occasionally. Um, I shouldn't say that. I think my daughter would be upset if she heard me saying what I'm saying now. But yeah, I everyone should run. It makes you it just makes you feel better.
Do you like to always have the next race on the calendar, something to train for, or do you just run to run?
I run, when I every once in a while, it doesn't I don't try to run as fast as I can very often. Like literally like maybe once or twice a year. Like at the Illinois half, I redlined. I tried to run that as hard as I can. But in the 45 years, I've never really had a running injury, and that's pretty unusual for
That is
runners.
impressive.
But that's because I don't try to go as fast as I can very often.
Yeah.
So, if I'm able to run, and as I get older, the speed that I can run at is going down, but I'll run a minute and a half slower than what my maximum speed is, but I can do that for a very long time. And so I very rarely run as fast as I can. I very rarely do speed work. So like for the Illinois half marathon in my training, I only did 3 or 4 workouts where I tried to run fast. And the rest of the time I'm doing like at that race, I averaged a 6:27 per mile.
Oh
And
my
so,
gosh.
and so,
That's so impressive.
but 95% of my mileage before that, I'm running 8 to 8:15 a mile.
Hmm.
So I pay a lot of attention because my goal every year is to not get hurt. I never have a time goal. Um, I do love races though because races have an energy.
They do.
Right. And that's, at the starting line of the U of I, there were 3,000 in the half marathon. There were a little over 1,000 in the full, and I don't remember they had a 10K as well. So there were like, I don't know, 6,000 people there, music playing and, just a very healthy. So yeah,
Yeah.
races.
It's a party
Yeah,
atmosphere.
it is. It is.
Hmm.
Yeah. And then the U of I does a really good job. You finish in the stadium. They have food up for the people who ran, and there's just music playing, and it's a really cool event.
What's your favorite race that you've ever done?
I don't know. I have a there's a race that a few friends of mine, like 10 of us, do in Effingham every year called the Wildcat, and it's literally just like a line in the road. 4 miles out, there's a cone, and you start at the line, you run around the cone, and you run back. But it's 10 guys that we've been doing it for, I don't know, 16 years. Um, so I like that just because of the camaraderie of the friends. But then, for bigger races, I've had some really good races. Indianapolis Marathon is great. Um, a lot of the huge marathons, I've done Boston,
Ooh,
but
that's cool.
yeah, Boston's cool. It's one that, runners like to do, but um their big marathons are they're kind of a logistic nightmare, you have to really plan. So a lot of my running buddies, they do Chicago, New York,
Hmm.
Boston, fly over to London, do London, have done Berlin. I stick to smaller ones. Um I really like Indy. I like the Illinois. Springfield here, we have a great half that was just a couple weeks ago,
Hmm.
that runs through town here. So those are the ones that I like to do the smaller ones that aren't quite so logistically difficult.
Have you done an ultra marathon or just marathon?
Just marathon, and actually, I've kind of cut out marathoning even. They're just really hard on your body.
They are.
Yeah, I mean the amount of time it takes to train for a marathon, like a half you can I average 50 miles a week preparing for this half. Uh, to do a marathon at maximum speed where you try to run as fast as you can, I mean, you've got to be doing it 70, 80. I mean, my friends will go over 100 miles a week. And then when you run it, you can be like for a week later, you can still be sore. Like this half, I was sore for a couple days, but I did 5 miles yesterday, and that was like 4 days afterwards. So a half just, I always say a full is four times longer than a half. It takes a lot out of you. So as for the ultra, I've never run an ultra. I have in one go, I've run 30 miles just in a training for a marathon a few years ago, but
There you go.
I've never signed up for an ultra. I've never done an ultra, and I probably never will because I really like. I've told my kids if they ever do a marathon, I'll do another marathon. But other than that, I'll probably stick to halves. I just think they're better for
Yeah.
my body.
Is that your favorite distance to run? Is a 13 miles?
Probably 5K would be my favorite. I'm a little better. I have a little more like natural speed than endurance. So I think 5K is probably my favorite. The thing I like about running, I mean, I like the feel that I have from the training, but in a race, I like to feel like I'm going fast. And so like 5K, you can kind of go all out because it's only 3 miles, so the pain's over faster.
Yeah, it's a nice little sprint.
Yeah.
Hmm. I just completed my first 10K
Awesome.
couple weeks ago maybe, and I couldn't walk for like 24 hours. I it was horrible.
Where'd you
And
run? What one did you
um
do?
it was the Abe Lincoln Trail Trek up in Springfield at Carpenter Park.
Oh, cool. Oh,
So it
yeah.
was it was a trail race, and it was
Yeah.
it was muddy and it was wet, and
Uh,
and it it was hard, but we made
Yeah,
it through.
trail races will beat you up more than a road race too.
Yeah, I went through the ringer, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So outside of running, do you have any other hobbies?
Uh, I listen to a lot of music. I never I don't like I said earlier I think I said earlier that there were years that we didn't have a TV. I never grew up I've never watched a lot of TV. I never watched a lot of shows. I really don't go to movies. So anytime someone's doing that, like pop culture references to movies or shows, they all go over my head. But music, I've always listened to music. I started DJing in high school, maybe even in grade school. But in high school, I DJ'd like dances for my high school that then led me to start DJing in uh, weddings, and I've DJ'd in bars. And so I still DJ some. I don't do it for money anymore, but like in the last 3 years, I probably DJ'd 6, 8 weddings, nieces and nephews, and some very close friends. Um, and so I still keep up with music. I still like um I say I know music from about 1955 to today. Now I don't know the last few years as well, but I still listen to even like I mean one of my favorite artists right now is Olivia Dean.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean that's she's great.
She's
And
really
so
good.
yeah, she's really good. So, I try to keep up on music. So, like in the evening, I'll sit with my headphones on and listen to watch videos, listen to music for 2 or 3 hours in the evening. So I still do that. And I used to say I read a lot, but now with cell phones and the way we do social media, I don't read near enough as I used to. But that's really music is that's what I do the most.
Do you listen to music while you run, or are you someone that just likes to be in the moment?
If I on weekends when I go long, where I'll go over 10 miles, I usually am with a running group with friends that run, so we just talk the whole time. If I'm going to go over like 5 miles by myself, I usually have a podcast or a book on tape. I actually don't like running to music because I end up falling into the cadence of the music rather than the cadence that I should be running. Um, So I'll listen to podcasts, but then also if I'm going to be on the roads, I don't like to have anything because I want to be able to pay attention. So I'll usually try to drive to a trail and then I'll run to a podcast while I'm running.
Interesting. I find it hard to run to podcasts. They don't hold
Okay.
my interest enough, and I know
Uh,
that I'm hosting a podcast, so that's probably ironic, but
yeah.
I just can't
Another
do
thing
it.
I really I over this winter I watch, and I don't know why it's basketball, but I can run to basketball.
Really? Like, just the
Yeah,
commentary?
yeah, it's the movement and everything. Like I've
Uh-huh.
tried to run a baseball. It's not as easy because baseball's kind of boring.
Yeah.
I like baseball, but like it just moves slower. So basketball, I don't know. And I've run to football as well, but um, that's I find I can run to sports on a treadmill easier than. And I tried to run to like YouTube documentaries on, but I find that a little. I'd rather run to a basketball game. So, and I'm a huge Illinois fan, so this year was a good year to
Yeah,
run.
it's a good year for you guys being in the Final Four, and,
Yeah, yeah,
so
that
it's a big deal. I don't know if they
yeah.
made it any further than that. I don't follow basketball.
No, they lost in the Final Four. But when I was at U of I, we were under sanctions. We had gotten caught, so the team was not very good the year I was there. Although the best player was from Jacksonville, Illinois, which I think is
Really?
where you're.
It is. Yep, that's right by where I'm from.
Yeah, it's Andy Kaufman was his name. He was and he was incredible, but our team wasn't very good. So,
Did you play any sports, basketball, baseball?
I played basketball, but people may know me. I'm not very tall, so it did. I wasn't all that good. Uh, but I love basketball. It's always been my favorite sport. Although running's probably my favorite. But so yeah, I played basketball, but never really played much.
Mhm.
But uh, running cross country was the one that I was the sport that I was best at.
So, my next question for you is what advice would you give 20-year-old you?
Oh, well, I don't know. I don't the way I think about I really don't. I've done some stupid things in my life. There's mistakes I made, but I don't know that I would. I don't look back and regret things because that at the time I did what I thought was best, and some of them were dumb. What would I do? I might say I don't know that I was gonna. I almost said do Peace Corps earlier, but I don't know. I think that if I had done it earlier, I would have been less mature than I was because I was 27. I was 27 when I entered Peace Corps. I don't know what advice. I don't. I try not to. I try not to give a lot of advice, frankly. My kids might disagree with that, but I don't even think with them. Um, I feel like you have to look around and think about the situation you're in, and then plan and make a decision, but then once you make the decision, you move. You
Move
continue
forward.
moving on. Don't beat yourself up about things in the past. So I think I might although I think I was probably doing that already in my 20s. Is there any like money things? I don't know that I would do money things differently.
Yeah, invest in Bitcoin.
Well,
Let's
yeah,
say
yeah, if you could go back, yeah. Although Bitcoin, that's too, for me, it would be like, let's think, when I was 20, it would be, it probably still would have made sense to say invest in Microsoft at that point.
yeah.
Yeah, because I can remember, um, I'm trying to think the first computer I owned. I can remember when I was at Eastern. So I went 2 years to Eastern Illinois University and then 2 years to U of I. And at Eastern, I did drafting, which would be AutoCAD,
Hmm.
but it was pre-AutoCAD. We were still drafting on boards with pencil and
Crazy.
straight edges. And so, when I think about the changes that have taken place in the time that I've been around, um, yeah. So, but advice to my younger self, relax, do your best and accept that and relax.
Hmm.
I'm thinking my son just turned 22, and that's the advice I give it when I give him advice. I'm like, settle down, just relax. Things are going to be okay. Because I feel like this generation, like there's anxiety. You hear a lot about anxiety.
Hmm.
Anxiety. I had no anxiety when I was 20. I wasn't thinking about 21 when I was 20. So I don't know. The world's changed where, kids have more stress. I feel like back then, um, I don't know whether others feel this way, but I did not worry about the future when I was 21. And that's what advice I give to my kids is to relax, that everything's okay. Life's okay. Just do your best and accept it.
Hmm. What's a challenge that you face in your current role that people might not realize?
Oh man, I don't know whether other state officials are going to listen to this, but state bureaucracy is crazy. I mean, I know that we can be frustrating for our grantees. Like why do you do this? Why do you do that? Like procurement. Procurement's a nightmare for us. Like,
Yeah, we don't like it either.
yeah, I mean, trust me. Like the work we've had to do, the hoops that we've had to jump through, the risks that we undertook with the rewriting of the weatherization IT system to go from WeatherWorks to iWex. That procurement process was a nightmare, and
Can't even
so
imagine. Hi everyone, Editing Madden here. David reached out to me after our conversation and asked me to add the following context on procurement. He wanted to make clear that his frustration is with the statewide procurement rules and not the procurement team at DCEO. That team is extremely helpful and important to the operations of OCA. He said, quote, the DCO procurement team saved the IWEX project many times. OCA would not be able to function without them. All right, and with that, I will leave you to the rest of the episode. Enjoy.
working with my team and working with the ICA and the network, we can have some tremendous ideas, but it can take years years to get them implemented just because there's all these rules, and so it's state bureaucracy. And I'm I I think as the older I get, kind of the less patient I get. 'Cause it's just I want to get things done. I don't want to, like if we have an idea and something that we can do this, well, let's go. Let's get it done. Let's do this. And so I would say the most frustrating part of my job is having to navigate the rules and regulations and things that you have to do to get uh, things accomplished here at the state. And I think the longer, I've been at the state now in total almost 11 years. And it's one of the things that I think the knowledge that you gain over time, that knowledge of how to navigate the state system, that takes a while to learn.
Hmm.
So, and there are still, there are several things, big items that I still have on my to-do list here at the state. IWEX is one. It's still a work in progress, but I do still believe that we're going to end up with a system that's more efficient and enables us to get things, jobs done more efficiently. We're not there yet. I understand. People may be watching this like you're not close, but I feel like we're moving in that direction. And there's things that in some of the other programs that I'm looking forward to tackling and trying to. My goal when I leave OCA, my goal is for Illinois to have the best weatherization system in the nation, the best lie heap system in the nation, and the best CSPG system in the nation. And I think, it's right there for us. We have our funding. The state of Illinois has more funding for uh, weatherization and lie heap than most other states. So we have the ability here in front of us to do it. It's just getting the cooperation, uh, cooperate. It's just getting cooperation and people working together to implement the system. So that's um, that's what I'm going to keep working on, is to try to have the best programs in the nation.
That's great. What we like to do next is I have a list of 20 random questions. They're labeled 1 to 20.
Okay.
I'll have you pick three numbers,
Okay.
um, and then I'll read you the questions.
Okay. 3, 7, and 11.
3, 7, 11. All right. Number 3 is going to be, how do you unlock your creativity?
You know, uh, this sounds strange. Like I don't know, like creative. I don't know how creative I am. I feel like what I have, um, I can take large data sets and look at them in ways that I can see solutions in the data. And so, like, this sounds a little weird, but I think if you give me like data from our program uh, and give me 8 hours, I can pick the data and look at it in 20 different ways and come up with ideas of things that could improve or metrics that we could use. And so sometimes I'll have a problem here at the state, like something that we need to figure out, and I'll be working on it like that, and I'll literally go to bed and I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'll have like that's what we need to do. And like through COVID, where I had my laptop home every night, I would run downstairs and start doing stuff to figure it out. So I think for me, I don't have like creative, like I'm not an artist. I can't, and I'm not like writing words isn't my thing. But
Hmm.
I think seeing solutions, or identifying not even solutions, but identifying improvements that we could make. By going through large data is something that I find that I can do, and a value that I can bring that's not that's an unusual um, thing.
Number 7 is going to be, what's something you're terrible at, but you wish you could do better?
Uh, I wish I could. I'm a terrible speller. I wish I wish I could spell better. I wish I could read faster. Um, and those are the things I'll say as I've gotten older. You understand the things that you're good at, and the things that you're not so good at. And so, in all of my positions, I always try to identify what people's strengths are and what their weaknesses are, and then surround myself with people who have strengths where my weaknesses are. And so, here at the office with my staff, in meetings, I always try to, you know, I try to put people in positions where they can succeed and then let them be themselves, because there's more than one way to do things. And so I would say that I'm back to the question, like, I'm not so good at reading text and writing text. And so I lean heavily on my Adrena King as the assistant deputy director here. So I will pass stuff off to her, but then if in the program there's some data that needs to be analyzed, even if it's someone else in the, like it wouldn't really bubble up to me, they'll send it up to me because I'm good at that. So uh, that's my weakness is that the reading part, but the strength that I have is to be able to identify that and then rely on other people to help me with that part of the job.
I think that's such a cool way of looking at it. I've never heard someone articulate that. I think that's really cool. Number 11 is going to be if someone were to call you right now and say, hey, we need you to give a TED talk, no prep time. What could you give a TED talk on?
Um, it's kind of funny. I've actually done what I feel like are TED Talks with I call them lunch and learns with David.
Okay.
And the two that I've done here, I think in the last year, I did one on a thing called Proto-Indo-European, which is a language that was spoken 5,000 years ago north um, of the Black Sea, I believe. Yeah, the Black Sea. Um, and it is the mother language of every language, not every, but languages from Celtic, Irish all the way to Hindi in India. And so English, Spanish, German, French, they're Latin, Greek, they're all descendant languages from Proto-Indo-European. So I gave a TED Talk type thing to my staff about that. What I did there, we have one of our employees, Suraya, is from Bangladesh, and then Maria speaks Spanish. Maria Gallardo speaks Spanish, and the rest of us speak English. Uh, one, two, three are all in all three of those languages. They're related to the Proto-Indo-European counting system that was 5,000 years ago. So that was one. And then the last one I gave was on the dangers and how terrible sports betting is.
Okay.
Uh, and I talked about my experience with sports betting. I did it for a few months, and the thing that you find out if you sports bet is that if you win, they kick you off the site. Uh,
Really?
yeah, so they'll let you lose your house, but they won't let you win a house. So, and I knew this. One of my relatives was a professional sports bettor for about almost 2 years, and he made a lot of money. And as he was doing that, I'm like, "What are you doing?" So I ended up signing up for this website that gave information that could help you bet. And so I bet I signed up for all of the sites here in Illinois, and I did sports betting for a few months and made money, but ended up getting kicked off of the like four of the sites because I had won more than I lost. And if they find out that you're a mathematical bettor, what's called a sharp, if you're a sharp, they kick you off the site. So that would be my TED talk. I would probably go with that one because the language thing is interesting, but the sports betting, sports books are evil. I mean, these people, they're a scourge on society. And if you can do it where you're just spending $5 to make a game more interesting on the weekend, that's fine. But they're, you know, primarily males from, 16 to 30. We have people like messing up their life forever because of the debt that they're going into trying to win money sports betting. And the books know that they're there, and the books are allowing them to ruin themselves financially. But then, like I would win a few $1,000s and they would kick me off the site. So, and just for the record, I wasn't on the site to try to win money. It was literally like I was interested and I wanted to see how it worked.
Hmm.
And it's now that I see how it works, I mean, they're terrible. The sports books they're not our friends.
Hmm. You strike me as an anthropologist of sorts. I don't I that was my major in college, and like your first TED Talk was about linguistics. That's a subsect of anthropology. Your second one was about sociology and cultural anthropology, and it's just so interesting to me. You really strike me as an anthropologist. I don't know if anyone's told you that or if you have an
No,
interest in that.
though the books that I've read, so I started keeping track in 97 of every book that I read. And
Hmm.
I've read your bio and saw how much you read. And I wish I could read
I
that
do.
much. But I only read nonfiction, and I read all kind. Yeah, I've read all kinds of anthropology. I read paleoanthropology. I love reading about ancient DNA that's changed the way we look at the history of the human species and all that. So yeah, that I've never been told that, but yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I really see it. So what we like to kind of round off our episode is asking our guest what's something you want listeners to take away from this episode.
If you're in the network, just concentrate. Like, here's the way I think about what we do here. I think about a child that's in a household that is struggling, and that the work that we do can ease the pressure on the parents so that child has a slightly better childhood. So know that for the people in the network that are watching this, know that the work that we do is important, and that it we're not changing the world, but we can be changing a little kid's life. And so I think about that thought all the time. When I'm making decisions, I'm always thinking about our clients, and for some reason I'm always thinking about the children and the way that we can make a family's life a little easier so that child has a little better childhood.
Was there anything that we didn't cover today that you were hoping to get a chance to talk about?
No, no, I didn't. Mick Prince told me,
Yeah,
this will
he
be
was my
fun.
informant.
Yeah, that's what. And so I didn't know exactly, but I'm like, I put Mike in front of me, I talk. So,
Yeah.
I wasn't,
We just like to have a conversation. Wherever it
yeah,
flows is where it goes.
yeah.
Like,
No, this was great. Thank you for doing
yeah.
this, man.
Thank you for coming on. You were an
Hmm.
awesome guest.
Well, thank you.
David, thank you again so much for joining us today. Listeners, thank you for listening. You can follow and subscribe wherever you're listening. If you're watching us or you want to watch us, you can find us on YouTube at Retrofit Radio Podcast. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Retrofit Radio Podcast. We'll see you next time.